Low battery. What's up, folks? Welcome. Thank you for coming out to the live reminder for the live show tonight, 9 p.m. I'm actually doing this quick live stream now to see who I can expect to attend. So if you're watching this after the fact, you can leave me a comment, but looking to see who actually shows up here live so that we can actually prep for the discussion. If I can, I'm hoping to get a few questions in now that I can go ahead and address when we get ready to do the live show. Who do we have that just joined us? Leave me a comment. Let me know who you are so I can address you. But again, the goal here is for us to it's for me to give you a video reminder that we're going to be going live tonight at, I believe it's 9 p.m. It's on the Facebook group, so definitely, hopefully on the live stream, there's a link to the Facebook page. But if not, it's BryantChambers page. Definitely go and check that out. And like the page so that you can get the updates. A lot of folks will ask me like, hi, why didn't you send out a message that you were doing the show? And I'm like, I did. The problem is YouTube isn't the greatest at making you aware of when I'm doing something. So that's why I'm doing a pre-show now, just to let everybody know. If you didn't know, tonight we're going to be talking about how to prepare for marriage. Let's see, we got John Chohan says, hey, thanks for all your advice, man. Literally changed your life. Wow, that's high praise, man. Thank you so much for chiming in. And I'm very glad. It's my pleasure to serve, man. I have and have had a lot of people in my sphere, in my life, impart a lot of things into me. So there's a very strong part of me that feels like it's a duty for me to come and do this. It's one of the reasons why I do this stuff for free so often, is because so many people invested their time and their resources in me to make me stronger. It would be wrong if I didn't in some way, shape, or form give that back. So John says he started believing in God again. God bless you, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. And always remember that no matter if you are struggling with your faith in God, it's okay, because I think we all go through that to some degree. But remember that depending on which God you believe in, if you believe in the God of the Bible like I do, the simple truth of the matter is that he remains faithful even when we are unfaithful, right? And one of the things I love about things you'll hear in like support groups and stuff, hey, Terry, how you doing, brother? Thanks for coming. You'll hear the term, we will love you until you learn how to love yourself. And I think that's really the epitome of how God operates. So congrats, man. I'm very proud of you and for fighting through. I thought you only streamed on Facebook. Nope. I have started streaming both on Facebook and on YouTube just because we've had a lot of momentum on the YouTube channel, and I want to respect that until, let's see, John says, saw another ENTJ, could be both intelligent and loving God. Excellent. So going back to what Terry said, we've had a lot of momentum on YouTube, and until I can fully transition the YouTube audience into our Facebook space, I don't want to neglect the people on YouTube. As much as I would love today to just go all in with Facebook, leaving YouTube altogether is just not really a good idea, because YouTube is you want to know kind of like the pros and cons, the strengths and weaknesses of YouTube and Facebook. Facebook is very good at social. It's not very good at discovery. YouTube is amazing at discovery and sucks at social. Hey, Raven, how you doing? Thank you for coming out. So that's kind of just abandoning YouTube would be a bad idea, because I get more discovery on YouTube. I get way more engagement on Facebook. So having both is valuable. I'd love it if they were all the same company so I could just operate in one place, but that's just not the reality. So we will be streaming tonight, 9 o'clock on Facebook and here on YouTube. You can feel free to leave me questions now that I can answer briefly here, but answer in more detail on the call tonight. Terry says, I do a lot of social activity on YouTube. Yeah, you and I do a lot of social activity. That's true, but the mechanism we're using to do the social stinks when you compare it to the way Facebook actually operates. It especially stinks for the creator, because me being able to go through and define comments a lot of times can be a pain. Like someone will leave a comment on a video I did a year ago and it's buried under 25 other comments, and getting to it is not always easy. And then if their settings aren't set up right, I can't even respond to it, etc., etc. So anyway, doing this quick call just to remind everybody, tonight, 9 p.m., I'll be streaming here on YouTube, but I'll also be streaming on the Facebook page, so that if you follow us in either place, you'll be able to see it. But the topic for tonight is actually preparing yourself for marriage. So many of you may or may not be aware that we launched the Good Life Playbook, the marriage experience, brought to you by the Good Life Playbook. And the Good Life Playbook is kind of my system for providing programs that can improve your life. Right now we're focused on the marriage experience. We'll have the career builder will be a part of it eventually. I've actually written out what the career builder is going to have in it. And that the career builder is going to be really awesome. The marriage program is already awesome. We've got some really good people in there, and it's really powerful information. And so the video we're going to be, the live stream and conversation we're going to be having tonight is going to be what the beginning parts of the marriage experience is focused on, which is developing ourselves before. Because a lot of times one of the mistakes we make, and you'll hear me talk about this in a video I shot for next week. I just haven't edited and uploaded it yet. But I did a video called "You Should Never Get Married If," and I left it blank. And the moral of that story is so many people enter into a marriage thinking it's going to solve their problems and fix their insecurities and cure their loneliness, and it's just not. In fact, a marriage can, if you're already struggling with those things, a marriage can make those things more pronounced and even make them worse. And so the first part of this program is totally dedicated to developing ourselves as people. You know, creating the strongest version of ourselves so that we can be prepared for marriage. Raven says, I find Facebook harder to get notified from. I don't get phone notifications. Yeah, so with Facebook, I think you actually have to turn that on. I think that's part of the challenge there. You have to sign up to get notifications. I think YouTube sends you guys an email when I live stream. With Facebook, interesting, Facebook and YouTube Live in terms of commenting in the moment is actually pretty squared away. I gotta go in the house real quick because I gotta get my charger because my phone's dying. You can see my kids in here tearing the house apart. My oldest is playing Final Fantasy 15 there behind us. Where's my charger, dude? Is it still here? Way too close to the camera. All right. Yeah, it is. Oh, you got your headphones on. That's why you're yelling. By the way, BC, do you have pets? Not anymore. When my oldest was born a couple years ago, we actually had a beautiful little puppy, little girl named Munchkin. She was a miniature rat terrier. Loved that little dog, even though she was a pain in the butt a lot of times. But that's what pets are supposed to be. All right, so bear with me. I'm just plugging up my gear here. Hopefully this power supply out here works. I'm going to find out here in a second. So Raven says, I have gone into the notification setting to try to get other notifications from Facebook. Okay. Yeah, so that's actually good to know because I've noticed the Facebook attendance has been somewhat suspect. I need to check something real quick, folks. Give me 1 second because YouTube is a pain in the butt when it comes to. Okay, just making sure. Okay, just making sure my phone was actually charging because YouTube's a pain in the butt. It doesn't show you any of your heads-up display stuff. So anyway, Terry was asking if I had pets, and we had a little girl named Munchkin. She was a beautiful little miniature rat terrier. But the reason why we don't have her anymore, the first concern was when we had kids, will she be good with the kids? Because rat terriers are pretty feisty dogs, and they are extremely protective of the alpha, of which she gave that honor to me. So like even when other dogs would come around me, she would get defensive and show her fangs, and we used to have to try to train that out of her. And you know, we trained her to be docile and loving because that's all we are. But you know, her nature took over. So we were concerned, like when we had the baby, is she gonna be okay? And the beautiful thing was, she was awesome with my oldest son. As soon as he was born, it was funny. Miko used to sit in the rocking chair and feed the puppy. Feed the baby. She would feed little man. And what Munchkin would do is she would walk right up to the edge of where Miko's feet would be on the floor, and she would sit on all fours, and literally she would just stand guard. Like if anybody comes in the room, I'm gonna light them up because they're not gonna mess with my little brother. And like, yeah, I remember I would come home from work and I'd walk in the room, she would stand up. It was kind of like, okay, let me make sure, oh, it's you. Okay, and then she would sit back down. The issue we had with her was when we bought her, and this was a hard lesson to learn because it was very sad. When we bought Munchkin, I was still in the Army. It was shortly before I got out of the Army and moved back home. and we bought her, from a pet store, which is strike one. Pet stores do a horrible job of taking care of animals in many cases. And we took her to the vet. She had like every ailment a puppy could possibly have. We got her cured, and basically the vet said, you saved this dog's life by purchasing her. The problem was she was illegally taken from her mother too soon by the pet store. So she had attachment issues with me and Miko. So if we ever left the house, she would go nuts if she wasn't caged and just rip the house apart. And because they're hunting dogs and scavengers, she would try to dig her way out of the house. And so she would dig holes in the carpet trying to get out of the door. And shortly, she had done that many, many times. And we had a lifestyle where Miko and I both worked before we had kids. And eventually, like the day after we had the baby, a couple days after we had the baby, we decided as a family to go out to dinner. And we left Munchkin at home, and she tore the house apart. And we finally just came to grips with, we can't properly care for this dog. She needs more attention with someone with her constantly. So we took her to a shelter and worked with them to help get Munchkin into a house where maybe like an elderly retired family where someone would be home 99% of the time so that she wouldn't go. Because when we had the baby, my retired grandparents took her. They're home all the time. And my dad was home literally all the time. So she was great at my parents' house, but she couldn't hack it when she came back home. So yes, we used to have pets, loved the dog very much, but unfortunately had to let her go. But anyway, again, tonight, 9 p.m., Facebook and here, so pick your spot. And what I will say is definitely like the Facebook page, because there are things going on Facebook that do not happen here. There's things happening on Facebook and Instagram that do not happen here on YouTube. So if you're on Facebook, it's BryantChambers page. I'd encourage you to open up a new tab if you're watching this on a computer or even on a phone, and pull that up and like the page and follow the page so you can keep up. Like I post a lot of messages there, like mini blogs that don't make it on my website and certainly don't make it onto YouTube, because they're things that just don't work in video. There's videos that I do there that I don't do here, the shorter stuff. Instagram's the same way. Like all of my book reviews, I moved to Instagram because it didn't take long for me to discover that YouTube didn't really care about book reviews, and that a couple people would find them. But my book reviews over on Instagram would immediately start getting reaction and people engaging with them, and it allows me to recommend books to people instead of me doing a book review and having to wait 6 months for 500 people to watch it, and then hopefully those 500 people are encouraged to go read the book. When I do it on Instagram, it's instantaneous. I do it on Instagram, people immediately are reacting to it and able to, and the book reviews, the written book reviews, like the brief write-ups I put on my website over at BryantChambers.com. So like the Facebook page and then follow us on Instagram so that you can keep up with the things that we're not doing here on YouTube. Because right now my primary focus has been on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, with the primary focus on YouTube and then Facebook. But that's going to eventually shift to where Facebook and Instagram are going to become the two places where I focus the bulk of my attention, and then YouTube will just become a repository for videos and things like that. Just because we had a live call last night for my private VIPs in my Social Media Ninja Academy. And I told them about my predictions for where YouTube was headed, and that where YouTube was heading, the ability for the individual creator to really draw an audience is going to get more and more difficult, because I truly believe this. I don't know if I'll be right. I could end up being wrong. I actually hope that I'm wrong, but I believe YouTube more and more when it comes to independent creators, people that aren't making content to sell on YouTube, when YouTube eventually becomes Netflix. Which is another prediction of mine, the ability for the independent creator to really draw an audience is going to be dependent upon viral content. And as much as I don't really like that, because not everything is viral, but a lot of things are important. So, and I could be wrong. I don't think YouTube is going to get rid of its power as the second most powerful search engine in the world. But in terms of people who are here to draw an audience, I think that's going to become slightly more challenging. But the flip side, the good side of it is it looks like they're building in ways for independent creators to be discovered through some of the paid content they're doing. But the challenge is I think that's still going to center around either really highly focused content on something like a paid program where your video is the best thing in that market that relates to it, or more importantly, viral type stuff. So YouTube for me is going to become kind of a secondary discovery platform where I'm putting content knowing that search will allow people to find it, but that the type of content I make, because it's so niche, or niche if you prefer, can take a longer time for people to find. So that's an example of why I moved book reviews over to Instagram, because I can target the people on Instagram who I want to see that content. I'm looking over here because I think one of my children, hey buddy, you going to Esteban's house?
Yeah.
Okay. Enjoy. My son is out there walking around.
Party.
Okay, well have fun.
Yeah.
Wait, does mom know you left?
I'm letting you know.
No. You need to come tell mom before you leave, especially if it's a party.
Alex!
Then come back and wait for her. You can't go over there yet. Hey man, what are you doing? So this is welcome to the family. Why are you yelling at me? What's up?
To take me to Alex.
Oh, Alex is coming to the front door, so shut that door and wait for him. Okay? Love you. No. Shut.
Alex, when mom come back,
See?
you're gonna get donuts.
When mom comes back, you're gonna get donuts. That sounds like a one.
Needs is Alex.
Can you please? I'm trying to talk to people.
Alex is getting donuts.
Shut the door and talk to Alex when he comes in the front door. Shut the door. Shut the door. Thank you, sir. Enjoy Final Fantasy 15. So, hey, hello from Sweden, says Dogeo. Am I saying that right? Correct me if I ever pronounce a name wrong. So my son is beating Leviathan on Final Fantasy 15. He just beat him for the first time. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, the whole YouTube. So anyway, the focus is really going to transition to Facebook to run my daily vlog, and Instagram, with YouTube kind of being the secondary space. Now, if my prediction ends up being wrong, then I'll keep a pretty strong focus on YouTube. But I really want to draw people onto Facebook, because trust me, I can do such better engagement with you all. He says, I think as far as content creation is concerned, there's always a peak point. This is what Terry is saying. I can engage with you on YouTube, but Facebook gives me such a much more powerful platform, because I've said it for years. The reason why I make content is not for it to go viral or just for me to get millions of followers. I mean, obviously I would want millions of followers to consume what I'm talking about, because I know it's good and it helps them. It would help them. But my bigger focus is on that smaller percentage of people who don't just want to consume some quick content, looking for quick answers to life, like they're looking to actually put the work in. Who a number of people that have found me on YouTube have come over to Facebook, and they'll send me all kinds of questions that relate to how they're living their lives, how they're building their relationships, how they're pursuing their careers, etc., etc., and are they doing certain things right or wrong. And I'm not, their judge, so I don't typically tell them whether they're right or wrong. I just tell them what the optimal answer is for whatever their goal is. But it allows us, Facebook gives me the opportunity to have a discussion back and forth, where when you send me something, I get a notification, and then I send you something, you get a notification, and then we can dialogue about it. Like I had one of my soldiers from when I was in the Army hit me up today and was like, hey, I need a letter of recommendation. And the beauty of Facebook was he's sending that to me in Facebook Messenger saying, hey, this is who the letter's going to, this is what I need, blah, blah, blah. I wrote the letter on the spot. It took me 10, 15 minutes to write it, because I knew what to say, because we go way back. And I immediately, through Facebook, just sent him the Word document. Didn't have to email him, never had to come off my laptop or go do something else. I just typed it up on my laptop, put it in Facebook, and sent it to him. And these are things that I'm able to do for people that YouTube, at least in YouTube's current state, would never allow me to do. So it allows me to have, Facebook also allows me to reach the beautiful thing with Facebook, and the challenge is for most creators, this would be a challenge, but for me it's not, because of my focus. For a little bit of money, Facebook allows me to reach specifically who I want to reach. Like I can pick the people I want to see my video, and I can give it to them. Like this is the person I know who would benefit from the video that I am documenting. And then I send it directly to them. It shows up in their feed, and then they get to choose whether or not they want to watch it. But on YouTube, I have to put it there and wait for the algorithm to read it and digest it and decide, maybe we'll show this to some people. And then if you don't have a lot of subscribers and you don't get that watch time up front, it's very hard for your video to start ranking well. So YouTube makes it so you have to have subscribers. Facebook, I don't have to have anything for just a little bit of money. And now YouTube does have a similar system, but in my opinion, having used both, Facebook has been leaps and bounds more powerful in allowing me to reach a specific audience very quickly and very cheaply. Very cheaply. I can reach thousands of people, overnight. Because, and by cheaply, I mean less than a penny per view. And it looks like it does. Thank you for calling me during my live stream. Oh, now I'm back. And we are back. Sorry about that. My wife called. My son's going to a birthday party today. That's actually what I was hollering at him about here in the open field he was running through to get to one of his friends' houses down the road. But the Facebook allows me to reach people much more easily, and I don't have to wait 6 months for 25,000 people to see it. If, depending on what my budget is, I can get 100,000 people to see it very quickly if I want to. And it's the right 100,000 people. I don't have to rely on somebody searched for it and then they found the video and then they watched like, oh, this isn't the thing I want, and so they abandon it, and that hurts my watch time. So, if you're trying to do everything for free, which if you're a business, it doesn't really make sense. As a business, you have to deploy money in order to make money. And I think organic reach is great. I think organic reach is dying, though. It's already dead on Facebook. And I do believe my prediction that we talked about in great detail last night on our live call with my Social Media Ninja Academy VIPs, that I think organic reach on YouTube is going to dwindle quite a bit as well. I may be completely wrong, so don't take that as gospel. I follow the money, and I see what's making companies money, and I see companies like Twitter that are floundering because they're not using what's working for other companies, and I imagine Google's smart enough not to make that same mistake, so we'll see. Anyway, again, reminder for anyone that just joined us, 9 p.m. tonight, live here on YouTube, live on Facebook Live, BryantChambers page. You can get me on either side. For a live stream, it really doesn't matter. You can be on YouTube because I can interact with you pretty well. The problem with YouTube is, as soon as the live show is over, none of the conversations we have get kept. YouTube is ridiculous when it comes to live streaming, in my humble opinion. But I get why they're doing it, so I respect it. I just think it could be done in a better way. And eventually, I think they will do it better. It just takes time. But we'll be streaming here. Again, the focus is on how to start preparing yourself for a happy, a successful, a fulfilling relationship that leads to a happy, fulfilling, successful marriage, right? So don't be turned away by, especially if you're young, we call it the marriage experience. The program isn't just for married people. It's specifically for people who are single or even people who are divorced, to help you understand the foundational layers that have to be set in order for there to be a happy relationship. And it really flies heavily in the face of a lot of the things that you've seen on social media, things you've seen on TV. Hollywood and the media do not understand relationships, and the things that they show you, the things that they tell you, the things that you read about in beauty blogs. It is so funny. They have no idea what they're talking about. They just don't. Like, how is a 17-year-old beauty blogger going to tell you how to build successful relationships? It's a high school kid. Forgot. I mean, maybe she's the expert. I don't know. But come on. Would you rather go to war with General Patton or the guy that just graduated from basic training? You know what I mean? It's the things that you're seeing out. And that's one of the things I hate about the things that actually go viral, is because nine out of 10 times the stuff that's going viral is stuff that's never going to help you. It's either stupid entertainment, which can be good in the moment and it can take your mind off the things of life. So I'm not trying to devalue things like silly entertainment. I make silly entertainment. I just made a whole host of videos on Snapchat today, which I personally thought were hilarious. It actually made my wife cry laughing, so that's a win. Let's see. Raven says, I am happily married, but I do find thinking points from your video to stay in tune with my husband and fine tune. So that's the thing. Like, I've had so many people mentor me in this realm, and I've lived through 15 years of building. I didn't do it perfectly. Everything hasn't always been freaking rainbows and unicorns, but it's pretty dope. I'm happier than I would ever have been single, I can tell you that much. But that's not most people's reality. A lot of younger folks avoid getting into long-term relationships because they don't understand the value of them. You know, they've been told that the purpose of getting married is happiness. It ain't. If you go into a marriage with your sole purpose being happiness, you are going to be disappointed. And that's not to say that happiness is impossible or that happiness isn't a thing that happens while you're there, but it can't be your why. Your why has to be more unselfish in order for happiness to result. And those are things that no one in a beauty vlog is going to teach you. You know, they're going to, with 6 tips to get the guy. Hey, Harvey, how you doing? Welcome. You know, 6 tips to get the guy of your dreams. Really? Come on. I see that type of stuff, and I don't get angry about it because I get it. These magazines are trying to pay their staffs who have families to feed. And unfortunately, as many wise people have said over the history of the earth, no one has ever lost money betting on the stupidity of humanity. And I'm part of humanity, so I'm not calling other people stupid. I have my own things that I'm stupid about. But the point is, what you see on the internet, the things that happen on TV, are made the way they are because they understand people's ignorance. And when you hear a guy like me go on the internet in a live video or a pre-recorded video, and I tell you there is no such thing as falling in love. Now, that's very compelling because what in the world is this guy talking about, right? But, you know, is that going to go viral? Because that's something that is immediately going to, when we talk about virality, that's immediately going to make somebody feel a certain level of sadness. Because one, it creates a thing called cognitive dissonance. Now, I get very scientific on my shows because that's the background I come from. So forgive me if that gets a little dry, but you need to know these things. Cognitive dissonance means you can't hold 2 opposing ideas in your brain. Most people have grown up thinking about falling in love. It says, one of the main things you have said is to be honest from the start. I was in a 5-year bad relationship before my husband who tried to change who she was. Right, so and I was reading what Raven was saying, but the inability to keep 2 opposing thoughts in the brain. By the way, billionaires are able to do that. It's called duality. They're able to deal with cognitive dissonance. It's why they're able to work through the gray areas of life and become wealthy. Hey, Fatima, how are you? And so when you hear somebody like me say there's no such thing as falling in love, immediately, because in your brain you believe in falling in love and you believe in this myth and this dream you've been sold forever, you automatically disagree with me, and it's gonna be off-putting. Now, it's compelling from the standpoint of it's very different from what other people say, but that's not going to draw as big an audience as some dude. And I've been in courses where the guy taught us how he got Playboy to pick up his vlog because he did a video going on some college campus and asking girls, does it matter how big your manhood is? Which one of those you think is going to go viral, right? Of course, the video where he walked around and asked a bunch of girls, does it matter how big a man is? It's going to go viral because stupidly human beings think that that's important information because you've been conditioned to think that that's important information. That's what media and TV and jokes and blogs have been telling you for years, that this is a thing that matters, so you better listen to what these girls say, otherwise you may be out of luck, which it couldn't be further from the truth and the reality of a long-lasting, healthy relationship. So that guy gets 30,000 subscribers, and I'm not making this actually happen. I'm not making these numbers out. Let's see. Labru Hula says, "Hi Bryant, do you think people get obsessed with getting a job?" Oh, I missed that comment. I hate this thing because it makes the comments go away before I can read them. Labru, retype that, copy and paste that comment and repost it for me so I can read it again if you don't mind. But of course, that guy's going to go viral. In fact, he got 30,000 subscribers to his channel overnight because Playboy picked up his vlog. Do you think Playboy is going to pick up my vlog about there is no such thing as falling in love? No. Psychology Today may pick it up. How many people are reading Psychology Today? Do you think people get obsessed with getting a job by any means and getting married no matter what may happen? I think there's social prejudice about that. Yeah. I think people set goals for themselves and make short-term. They make decisions based on short-term gratification versus long-term fulfillment. Absolutely. So when I make a video, and I'd made a video talking about this, and the video that's coming out next week titled you should never get married if dot 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 talks about there is no such thing as falling in love. Now, obviously, that's slightly a play on words, and I'm playing semantics with the audience because what people call falling in love, there is actually a thing. It's just not love, is the point of that discussion. Right? It's not love that they're falling into, it's infatuation. Infatuation and love are not the same things. Right? So, like, I did a post on Facebook today that said, you know, passionate love never leads to companionship love. So the way people live their relationship lives out in the world now on Tinder, swiping left, swiping right, go on a date 3 times, then you have sex, and then you're hoping that's going to turn into a meaningful relationship. It's not. It's just not going to happen. You're building it the wrong way. You're starting with passion and the natural inclinations of your biology instead of focusing on what actually keeps a relationship together, which more than anything else on this planet is friendship. Funny that Hollywood has been teaching you for years that you're not supposed to date your friends because that's awkward. It's because they have no idea what the hell they're talking about. Anyway, these are the types of things that I basically want to become the counterculture for everything people have been teaching about relationships and sex and marriage for like I'm an advocate of people not really dating in the conventional sense. It's a very unpopular opinion to have. You know, I have men that tell me, how am I supposed to know if it's good if I don't sample the goods? I'm like, well, first of all, you're an idiot because you have no idea how intimacy works. Intimacy builds over time. You know, but here's the deal. I had mentors when I was 19 teach me this. A happily married couple who had been married for 15 years back when I was a teenager, a 15 to 20-year-old married couple told me, hey, dude, check this out. Let's see, Raven says, can I reach out to you about some life and work advice after this video? BC, absolutely. Just shoot me a direct message over on Facebook. Absolutely. Or you can email me if you prefer to email. It's up to you. And what this couple taught me and the other people in the room, because they were talking about marriage to our group. And I am fortunate to have had that training. And that's why I want to pass it on. They're like, here's the secret to sex life as it relates to being married. It gets better with time. And what the husband said was, I love being with her intimately now, 20 years later, than I ever did back in the beginning. Might email you to get thoughts straight. Thank you. Sweet, no problem. And that's what people don't get. They think they got to go out here and sample all these women, and they're hoping that it's like playing the slots in a casino. Like, you're hoping to hit the jackpot, and then that's the one you stick with. But then you wonder why 6 months later, oh, she's crazy, because you tried to build a relationship off the physical part. To me, I kind of get exasperated with it because I know better, but I empathize with the fact that people have just been taught poorly. Believe me, like I didn't get any of this advice from my parents. So let's be clear. I love my parents to death. My dad was not a good teacher when it came to relationships, when it came to marriage relationships. He was a great teacher for me as a leader and leading people in organizations. He was my first mentor when it came to that. He was not a great teacher. In fact, as he got older, there was some advice I gave my dad years and years ago about his relationship with my mom. I was like, hey, bro, you got this one wrong. And the thing I love about my father, man, as freaking successful as he's been, and my mother, let's see, La Brujula says, I've usually related that kind of unhealthy social prejudice to insane introverted sensing. Okay. One of the things I love about my dad is his humility. This dude was one of the kings of the earth during his prime. And he looks at me, he's like, dude, I think you're right. I think you're right about that. I didn't even think about it. And he had been married almost 60 years at that point. He was like, yeah, bro, I think you're right, bro. I think you hit the nail on the head. And like, for him to have the humility for his grandson, his youngest, giving him advice like I know anything. And it wasn't something that my parents taught me. My dad's advice when it came to women was terrible. And I've told him that to his face, so it's not like I'm airing out my dirty laundry. His advice for me with women was horrible because he didn't have good advice. He didn't have a mentor. I got mentors later and through other resources in my life that got me squared away for relationships. And that's why it's important for you to be a part of things like what I do here on YouTube and in Facebook. Because here's the deal. I am never going to intentionally give you bad advice. Now, I may every once in a while give advice that doesn't specifically address your situation, but as with anything that you get from people, You take the good and you throw out the bad. It's simple. But always know, like one of my bosses said this years ago, and it was such a wonderful statement. And he said it to the whole organization. He was talking to all of us. He's like, when I do something, all I ask from you until I've earned your trust, because that takes time. And I love the way he put it. He's like, until I earn your trust, because that takes time and that takes action, consistent action. Until I've earned your trust, please give me this one benefit. Assume noble intent. My intent for you is goodness, and it's blessing, and it's prosperity, and it's happiness, and it's meaningful relationships, right? That's my intent. I may get something wrong and have to go back and correct it later, but my intent was not to mislead. So these things that I say that are very different from the rest of the world, remember, name a time in history where popular opinion was right. Let's see. Hitler. He managed to get people's popular opinion. That didn't end too well. What else? Popular opinion. Popular opinion back in the 1950s when we went through the sugar craze? Everybody eats sugar all the time. It's a great source of energy. Yeah, until eating too much sugar jacks you up. High fructose corn syrup's a cheap way to add sweetener to drinks until it makes, 70% of the American population obese? You got kids walking around weighing more than me, and they're 12? Come on. Popular opinion has never been right. So when I say, Raven says Trump. Oh, don't even get me started. I would go even further. Politics. The idea that getting a bunch of people together to represent us in a thing when they're going in there with their personal interests in mind and not us, and that's going to work out real well? Sure. Okay. Sell that to somebody else, America. Nice try. But hey, Jolly, what's up, man? The idea here is that, hey, buddy, my son is yelling at me through the window. But you have to understand, BC politics is a system. Without systems, the world would be in chaos. Yeah, but so are businesses. Businesses are a system. And no, the world, it's already been scientifically, biologically, and psychologically proven that if you didn't have the system that you're talking about, humanity would be fine, because government starts with self-governance. System, you have to remember, any system is only going to be as good as the people you put it. Now, if you have a really great system, you can put lesser people into the system and it works well. But at the end of the day, the system still takes people to execute. And I'm not arguing that we don't need systems. We do. What I'm saying to you is that these systems happen naturally for tens of thousands of years before we showed up and became the focal point of the universe. Those systems happen naturally because people understood, and even in America, it was better many, many years ago in terms of self-governance. Now, I would argue that the system you're talking about has helped usher in a lot of good things, namely the fact that I can have a YouTube channel and I'm not working on a farm somewhere picking cotton, so I get it. But I'm not arguing the system. What I'm arguing is the way we are implementing the system with self-interested players who care less about the system and the people than they do advancing their own personal agendas. That I'm not addressing the system. I'm addressing the people in the system. Period. Because the military systems work extremely well. But anyway, we don't have to get into a political, because I'm violently oversimplifying my thoughts, and out of context, it's going to make me sound like an idiot, because I'm not going to hijack this conversation to get into that. But the point is, the advice that I'm going to render is often going to fly in the face of things you've heard from more popular people. And I can guarantee, and I make it a point in my life not to talk about things I don't know anything about. I have 15 years of experience doing this. You meet anybody, it takes roughly 10 to, I think law says, I think political systems haven't managed to help. Well, the problem is, okay, let me just flesh this out a little bit. The problem with the system isn't the fact that there's a system. Terry's arguing that without the system, you'd have chaos. Yes, of course you would. But my point is, the system that we have in place hasn't evolved with how fast humanity has been moving socially. It just hasn't. You know, it hasn't kept up, and that's why the example I gave on our call last night was how many of you still use the post office versus UPS or FedEx? Why is UPS and FedEx doing better than the Postal Service? Because their system innovated a lot faster than the Postal Service. Why did their system innovate faster? Because they put market forces in their system that forces self-interested players to behave properly, whether they want to or not. Because if they don't behave properly, they don't get any money. Postal Service gets money every year dished out from Congress, regardless of how crappy they perform. That's my point with the systems. That's why I think industry, we're going to witness over time, industry is going to crush what the government is able to do. It's already doing it. There's so many government agencies that are becoming irrelevant because of things like Google and Facebook. It's not even funny. And I don't think that's going to start going backwards. Certainly not because of Trump or, any other president. So that's what we're getting at here. Anyway, back to the real topic here. Preparing yourself for a long-lasting, fulfilling, happy relationship and a marriage. It all starts with the individual. I think a lot of counseling or programs, and that's why I specifically address the fact that this program that I'm talking about is not counseling. First of all, I am not a licensed counselor, so I'm not qualified to give counseling. What I'm going to show you is basically the good life playbook. I'm going to show you the playbook. It'd be like if your team was playing my team in the Super Bowl and I handed your defensive and offensive coordinators my playbooks for defense and offense. I said, here's everything, if I'm the Patriots and I've been winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl after Super Bowl, and I hand you my playbooks and you could read them, you could essentially, hey Matthew, how you doing? Thank you so much. You could essentially use what I've been using to win for yourself, right? That's why for example, in every program, the first video you're going to see, other than the welcome video, it's funny, my wife and I filmed the welcome video on the program at the hotel I took her to for her birthday, and it was a surprise. So I took her out to the movies. We went to see Furious 8, the Fast and the Furious 8, and I had never seen any of the other Fast and the Furious movies all the way through, so we binge watched them for the next 2 weeks. And then so we went to watch that, and then I took her to dinner, and then I took her to the hotel, and she was thinking, oh, we're going to hang out in a hotel. I was like, no, we're not going to hang out in a hotel. You're going to hang out in a hotel because you live in a house with 6 other people who you're constantly being pulled on for make this, do that, clean this, work this, take kids to this place. She has business orders that she has to take care of. And I said, tonight is all about you. You're going to stay at the hotel by yourself so you can have some alone time. And I'm going to go back to the house with the kids. And, it was a great surprise for her. She was very happy about it. And, so we filmed the welcome video in the hotel. I was like, wouldn't it be cool, if we took, your birthday time to film this? Because we were in a playful mood and very happy. I was like, this would be a great time to film it. She's like, okay. So we sat on the bed. Video starts with her throwing a pillow in my face because we've screwed up the video so many times that by the time we finally got the last take, it was just like, screw it. Let's just show people how we really live instead of trying to make this into a well-rehearsed thing. And then it was just her and I being playful. And then the next video you're going to see is a personality test. The video you'll see for June will be another personality test, followed by, you're going to go through 4 personality tests in the first 4 months. And you're going to learn what those things are. You're going to learn about all the things that make you you, so that at the end of all these personality tests, you can see what your strengths and your weaknesses are. Because then in the next phase, we'll start talking about how do you double down on your strengths and make minor improvements to weaknesses where you need to make improvements, but then forget about your weaknesses and focus on what you're strong at. I'm never going to try to develop myself into an expert accountant because it's just never going to happen. I'm not that dude, man. I know what I'm strong at. I know what I'm good at. So I'm not going to waste my time trying to become something I'm not. Likewise, I'm not going to waste my time trying to be someone I'm not in a relationship. But the only way I can be authentic and genuine is if I truly have a grasp of who I am. There's no exact science. It's not going to completely help you understand everything about yourself, but it's going to help you understand a lot more than you may understand today, and it's going to help you understand especially for you married folks, because your husband or wife should be taking the test as well, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend if you're not married yet, or your fiancés, and you can understand each other better. Like I worked with a girl recently where she and I were talking about this guy she had dated who had my personality type, and she was like, "Oh God, I got to talk to you. What is wrong with you guys?" And I broke everything down for her step by step to help her understand everything that I said, here's everything he's doing that you think because of your personality type that he's being cold and he's being rude. It's the exact opposite. He's doing it because he cares about you. It just doesn't come across that way because of his delivery method. And she was like, wow, that makes total sense. And so I was able to help her better understand this person that she cared about. And that's a lot of what we're going to do in the first stages of the program. But then starting to work on how do we, now that we know ourselves, how do we develop ourselves? What's the system we use to get our life in order? And I have a formula that I'm going to be giving out in those videos where it's, you have to understand things like who you are. So the personality types have taken care of the first part of that. Then you have to understand things like what are your values as a person? And how do we actually get those values on paper so that we can understand our own values and not constantly be questioning them? And then how do we put those things into action? And then how does that drive the decisions we make in our life, whether it's career, whether it's relationship, whether it's hobbies, whether it's how do I raise kids? Do I want to have kids? Things like that. So these are the things in the marriage experience part of the Good Life Playbook that you are going to get access to. And here's the beautiful part, because I've already made the change, I think, on the website. So we've made the change, and if you're watching this video, definitely be on the call tonight because you don't want to miss this situation here. The program costs money. It's obviously not free, but every single soul that comes on the call tonight is going to get access to it cheaper than the rest of the world, just for coming on the call. For no other reason that you came on the call tonight, you are going to get access to the program cheaper than everybody else. And here's the beautiful thing, because it's a monthly fee. That monthly fee will never, hear me, because this you'll understand how I roll in business. That monthly fee will never, ever increase. Let me put that in perspective for you. Let's say in 100 years, this program is still going strong. Like I became the next Billy Graham and Tony Robbins, right? Let's just say that happened. If in 100 years your grandkids are still looking at this program, because when you purchase it, it's for your family. It's not for you. So if you purchase it and you have a fiance, your fiance doesn't need to purchase it. You give them access to your thing and you do it together. So it's for your family. It's for your husband, your wife. If you have children, you can pass it on to them. You do not need to buy them accounts. And so when you get in at that cheaper rate, in 100 years, the monthly fee will be worth almost nothing to our company, but we don't care. That's the price you will pay. We'll never raise your price. It's not like rent where landlords have to make money. I don't have to make money. There's people in my social media Ninja Academy who've been on VIPs, by the way. And the VIP program, for example, is you buy the program, which is anywhere from $47 to $1,000, depending on where you buy it. And then the VIP program is $26 a month on top of that. There are people literally who are VIPs that are paying $5 a month. Their fee will never, and matter of fact, let me back that up. There's people who are VIPs who got in for free, and I never charge them a fee, because these are people that rolled with me and helped me build it and just helped me do what I do. Here, access. They're never going to pay a fee to be in the program, and they're going to get thousands of dollars worth of information without paying a dime. So the reason why I bring this up is, one, it pays to get into things early. Two, it's going to behoove you to be on the call tonight because you're going to get access to that discounted rate. In fact, if you go on the website now, if you go to BryantChambers.com/ well, there's a link on my website. See, Jolly's on top. If you went there now, you could right now, so here's the deal. If you can't be on the call tonight, that link will give you the discounted rate. Right now, it's 57% off of what the actual fee is going to be. And by the way, it's not cheap. It is not cheap, because nothing I am sharing with folks in that program is cheap, stupid, blog-like information. This is no nonsense stuff that's going to help you enrich your life in ways that you wouldn't have been able to without the information. That's not to say you had to get the information from me, but trust me, I've been coached by some of the best in the world. Right, and that's where and I've read the best in the world. So I understand a lot of these things. And my wife is a part of it. She understands these things. My wife literally worked for a counseling nonprofit organization that helped kids who were in abusive homes and had been sexually abused, and helping people live an enriched life after suffering and trauma and things like that. So make no mistake, you've got people who have been through and seen a lot of things that we've been able to help people through. So that is, and here's the deal, because for some people, wherever you are financially, it's just not doable for you right now. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it even a little bit. Don't feel like, oh, I'm gonna miss out. Don't give your last dollar to get into a program, because it's not about the money. It's about the results, and it's about the outcomes. So don't worry about that. At some point in your life, you'll get to a point where the money won't be an issue, and then you can make the move. If that's you, what you'll want to do is just keep coming around to the content that I produce here, because make no mistake, I produce a lot of content for free that I never charge people for and never will. That's why you don't watch ads on my YouTube channel, because I turn them off. To me, if I say content is free and I make you watch an ad, that's not free. And most people are like, oh, you're wrong, because there's a lot of YouTubers who argue with me on that. It is free. You're being blah, blah, blah. I said it's not free. It's not free. If you're making your viewers watch an ad, here's why. You're looking at free as if I'm talking about money. I'm not, because your most valuable asset is your time. And I will never waste that. I am never going to waste your time. And I appreciate that. Terry says I will watch ads on channels because it supports the channel. By the way, I'm not against people running ads on their channels. I'm against running them on mine. Okay? I watch channels that run ads. I don't boycott them. And I'm like Terry, I support my friends who run ads because that's how they pay their bills. I don't want to pay my bills that way. I don't want to pay my bills by forcing you to watch video ads that have nothing to do with anything positive in your life. I want every moment you spend watching a video to either be fun, engaging, helpful, encouraging, uplifting, inspiring. You're not going to get that from a freaking Budweiser commercial. Now you may get funny out of it, but for you to have to watch a 30-second or even a 10-second ad on my stuff means I wasted 10 seconds of your time to get to the thing you actually wanted. To me, that is not free. I'm not saying I'm right. That is my personal perspective. People that look at it the other way, I don't have any issue with them. Some of you are YouTubers and you do advertise on your channel. If you're okay with it, keep doing it. This isn't a moral thing. This is my personal value system that I operate with. I don't expect anybody else to do it. Okay? So, going back to the point, the idea here is for me to give you free content every single day. Now, sometimes I skip Saturday. Like, I don't think I had a video come out today on YouTube. I had plenty of videos on Snapchat, which if you're not following me on Snapchat, you got to do it, man. Because Snapchat for me is where I have basically decided Snapchat is going to be where I do my entertainment. Because I'm still at my core, I am still an entertainer. Right? That's how I got started. Well, it's not true. I got started as a leader and a developer of leaders, but I've always been an entertaining, funny person. So, it's just being entertaining and funny didn't always mix with some of the heavy stuff that I drop here. So if I was being a clown, it wouldn't be congruent to the message I'm bringing to people about changing their lives. But on Snapchat, it's just straight comedy. Literally, I've gotten to the point where I used to try to do like my workout stuff on Snapchat where I'm like, 15 minutes workout, man, get it in. Like, no, now I have relegated Snapchat to straight up. You know what it really is? It's basically me making fun of Miko, me throwing jokes at my wife. It's me being an idiot in my house or wherever I am, but usually directed at my wife, who's watching me through the window right now. And she looks very tired. She's worked very hard today. But so Snapchat, it's BryantChambers. Follow me on Snapchat, Instagram, it's BryantChambers Lives. Facebook, it's BryantChambers page. Hey, Jolly, if you wouldn't mind, post links to the Instagram and if you're still here, post links to the Instagram and to the Facebook page so that people, while they're watching this, can go follow and then come back before we finish up here. Terry says, I tried to get to your Snapchat page, but it came up with a down. Yeah, so you can't get the Snapchat from your PC. You'd have to do it from a cell phone. The link I use for Snapchat is just to let you know it exists, so you can either use your phone to capture the QR code, or you just have to go there on your phone and search for me. Uh-oh, little man got bagels. I didn't get any bagels. I'm hungry. Guess that's how it goes. So yeah. Jolly, if you're here, if you're still here, if you wouldn't mind posting those links, that'd be awesome. If you're not here, it's all good. We'll hold on. Look at my wife is coming in and out of the house trying to figure out what's happening. But yeah, so if you can't be on the call tonight and you're interested, go to the website now. Jolly posted a link up above. I don't know if it's in the video description because when I go live from my phone, I don't think it gets all my settings. Terry says I'm old school, man. Yeah, I know. It's fine. You're fine, bro. You follow me in enough places where you don't need to worry about it. But yeah, if you're looking for more entertainment type stuff, like I used to do when I first got started, then Snapchat is certainly the place to be because it's straight comedy. But yeah, those are the things that we're going to be covering. And tonight we'll elaborate more on preparation, and I'll talk more about the personality type tests you should be taking. Again, that's going to all be for free. In the paid section, I actually take the tests, and I show you that I'm an ENTJ because I take the test. The first video is me taking a Myers-Briggs test. And so you get to watch me struggle with answering some of the questions I think are stupid, but I also explain what some of the questions mean, because a couple of the questions on a Myers-Briggs test are like, what? This doesn't make any sense. I'm neither of these options that they've given me. And I elaborate on this is how you should be looking at this, and how to make sure you're being completely honest with yourself instead of trying to project what you want to be, but answering what you truly are. So we'll talk about the Myers-Briggs test and the 3 other personality type tests that I would have you take. And I'll give you access to all of those tests for free. Jolly says, give me a second, I'm on mobile. Take your time, brother. The other personality tests we'll talk about tonight and why they're important, how they've evolved, what some of the shortcomings of the Myers-Briggs test. And part of the problem with the Myers-Briggs test, especially when you work with people who are very well versed in it, some people have a tendency to try to pigeonhole and say, this is exactly my personality type, this is how I am. Nothing is ever exact when it comes to psychology. It's just, from what I've seen, what I've read from some of the most powerful minds, from Dr. David Buss to Dr. Jonathan Haidt to Dr. Richard Dawkins, none of that stuff is etched in stone. I mean, there's things that certainly are highly likely, but there are things that ENTJs are stereotyped as that I'm just not. I work a lot with INFPs. I make a lot of content for INFPs, and they're typically seen as very passive people. I've seen INFPs that'll punch you in the face. They're not passive at all. So you're not always going to live up to the stereotypes. But what some of these other tests do is work on different ideas, and basically they'll tell you that you're all of these things, but here is where you fall on the priority list, especially when we get to the Enneagram test, where it shows you here are your dominant styles and things that you need to think about. And then there's plenty of other personality tests that you can take besides the ones I'm going to show you. The ones I'm going to show you are the ones that I found to be the most valuable and the most relevant. But that's me. You can go out there and take a whole bunch of them. Uh-oh. I hear youngins hollering. I need to shave before the call tonight too. But this is what I'll pose to those of you who are still watching here. What topics or questions do you have that you'd like me to cover on tonight's show? And remember, the rule with my live streams, and I don't think this will ever change, is your questions don't have to be directly related to what I'm talking about. They can totally come out of left field about a different topic. I'm open. So don't feel like if we're talking about how to prepare yourself properly for a meaningful relationship that leads to marriage and a happy marriage, if your question has to do with something else, ask it. It's not going to derail me, right? Because most people be like, I had a question, but I didn't want to ask. Raven says, I did the Enneagram test yesterday. I was told that, it faded before I could read the whole thing. I'm really beefing right now because my kids got a hold of my hat. You can see my bill is improperly bent. This is my J coming out right here. I want my bill to be symmetrical, dang it. Yeah, anyway, and I also cut my hair mad short, which is pretty cool. So yeah, any topics you want me to cover, any questions you'd like me to answer tonight, especially if you can't be there so that I can answer them and you can watch it after the fact. If you can't think of it right now, you can send me a message on Facebook and we'll talk about it there. Other than that, what are you guys thinking about today? How's everybody's life going? Juliana, Vani, Katarina, hello, ma'am. How are you? It's good to see you. Or Julian, excuse me. I'm saying names wrong all the time. So what's going on in your lives? I've done a lot of talking here in the last 39 minutes. Why don't y'all tell me about what's going on with you? What's happening? Talk to me. Let's see. Raven says, was good to read. She got a 5W6, which fits her INTP. Cool. Enneagram with MBTI is the perfect combination for sure. Yeah, and I got one other test. 2 other tests I'm going to unleash on you. The last test I'm going to have you take is more of a fun thing because I haven't really seen any definitive tests that are really deep. It's just kind of fun to take it to see if you're a psychopath. In fact, I talked about it on one of my daily Bravos. I think it was titled, Are You a Psychopath? Or Find Out If You're a Psychopath. And I talked about it's called the Dark Triad test. And it's a really great test, though, to give... Terry said 2 kids urinated where he works. Other than that, it's been a good day. So the Dark Triad test is a really good test to take with like a potential significant other, because if they score poorly on it, then you know to start cutting them off. Like if they score high as a psychopath or a narcissist or Machiavellianism, cut them. Like, I'm sorry, this is not going to work. Got to get rid of them. You know, and it's funny, that's advice I often have to give to people, probably more than anything else, is when is it time to cut a relationship off? And I'll tell you, most people hang on way longer than they should. You know, I rarely got into long-term relationships that were bad because I'd see the writing on the wall, and my personality type is I'm not going to waste any more of this person or my time. I'd rather just be lonely than continue to deal with this mess. And so when I got older and started really getting serious about wanting to be married, LOL, talk about ENTJ women. My friend is an ENTJ and she's 15 years old. She is already an incredibly mature and ambitious girl. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, that's advice that I have to give very often is either don't pursue this person based on everything you're telling me, or yeah, you should have kicked this person to the curb. Raven says 4.5 years too long for me last time. And it happens. You know, it happens. So Jolly has just posted a link to my Facebook page. Definitely like it and follow it if you want to get updates for when I set these live calls, because I send out these live calls as calendar events on Facebook. So you need to be following the page as well as like it, so you'll get the notification. And a lot of the advice I end up having to give is like, cut it. Like, why are you pursuing this person? It's very clear that they're not good for you. And I think the major driving factor with most people when they get in that situation, at least from what I've seen with people, is they have what's called FOMO, which is fear of missing out. Like, if I leave, I'm going to miss out on the 3 good things this person has. Yeah, but there's somebody out there in the grand scheme of Earth who has all 3 of those qualities and a bunch of other good qualities and none of the crappy ones. So, or if they have some of the crappy ones, it's not as pronounced. I mean, granted, I have some crappy character flaws. I have a tendency to be insensitive. Matter of fact, I'll give you a perfect example. I lead with extroverted thinking. My wife leads with extroverted feeling, if memory serves me right, if you're familiar with the cognitive functions. But if you're not, I'll still explain. I came home the other day and she was fussing about, I wish when I made food for the children, they would just eat it and be happy and be grateful and blah, blah, blah. And I've been telling her literally for years, stop being a short order cook. Every time you make something they don't like, just let them be hungry. That's an ENTJ thinking. Leading with Anjali just posted my Instagram. Again, there I do my book reviews and inspirational quotes. It's my main focus there. Excuse me. And so I'm listening to her talk after I've already told her 100 times. She's sitting there like, I just wish when I did these things, they'd be happy and they'd eat and I wouldn't have to cook other food. I said, you wouldn't have to cook other food if you let dude go to bed hungry one time. It'll happen one time. Now, That's an extroverted thinker talking to an extroverted feeler. The extroverted feeler was just trying to convey how she was feeling to get it off of her chest. The extroverted thinker, and who's also an introverted intuitor, saw the problem, summed it up immediately, came up with a solution, and then spit it out to her in less than 7 seconds. And she just looked at me like, why are you talking? Go away from me. And so I did go away from her. And I came back and I hugged her and I apologized. I said, look, I'm sorry. My extroverted thinking attacked your extroverted feeling. I know you were just talking about how you felt in the moment. And it's very hard for you to think about kids going to bed hungry because you are an extroverted feeler, and caring for the people around you and what they're experiencing and feeling is very important to you. I don't have any extroverted feeling. I have introverted feeling, and it's my weakest trait. So them going to bed hungry and having a little tummy growling for a little while didn't hurt me at all. I was like, they'll be fine, because tomorrow morning when they get up and they're starving, they'll remember that tomorrow night when you put out spaghetti. And like, I don't like spaghetti unless it has the gorgonzola cheese in it, or whatever thing they were fussing about with their spoiled selves. I used to eat cereal and Eggo waffles for dinner because both my parents worked when I got older. These kids don't know how good they got it. But and that's also because I hated cooking. I totally could have had real food. Just was lazy. It wasn't my parents' fault. Just in case that was what you thought was implied. Waffles are nice, not Eggo waffles that I've microwave or toasted in a toaster. She says, on the bed, hungry front, they get a cup of milk. Yeah. Hey, hold on a second. X. Hold on. I got to get these kids under control. Get him. Get him. This is what it's like, running a business in your house and having children. My young one was trying to escape the house with no shoes on. That's what led to that. Sit down. And really? You didn't even finish eating your food. Sit down and eat. He just threw his hands up at me like he was going to punch me when he sees me again. He's definitely my twin. Sit down and eat, buddy. Yeah. Eat it. Not at once. Like, you didn't have to shove the entire thing in your mouth. Now he's coming out here to talk to us. Yeah, ENTJs, we are funny. You're correct, Julian. How may I help you, little man? I can't understand a word you're saying with all that food in your mouth. The whole bagel that you just shoved into your mouth and are somehow magically chewing. Please don't do that. Please leave the door alone. No, don't lock it, because I still need to come in the house. No, don't lock. Don't lock it. Don't yell at him. He's a baby. He doesn't know. Help him. This is children for you, man. But yeah, anyway, those are the things we're going to cover tonight. Let's see. They get gorgonzola cheese, though. Man, dude, there's no gorgonzola cheese in my house. I'm just saying, my kids are spoiled. I have no idea what they eat. When I'm home with them, they all eat bread. Yes, this is what happens when mommy's not here. And I'm going to have to go because I think I hear the baby crying, which is awesome. It means their yelling woke him up. So this is a great time to adjourn. Hopefully, but egg on waffles. No, not egg on waffles. Eggo waffles is a brand. I know you live in the UK, but I need you to come out of that cave. If you call your son little man, if you ever have a daughter, would you call her little woman? Nope. I'd call her sweetheart or baby girl, probably, if I had a daughter. I do have goddaughters, and I call them sweetheart. And baby girl. Baby girl is probably what I would call a daughter, I think. Yeah, I love waffles too, Terry, but I'm talking about frozen box waffles that you put in a toaster. I'm not talking about like waffles you make in a waffle iron. Those are delicious. Yeah. But yeah, Juliana makes a good point. Like, you call him little man, why wouldn't it be little woman? Because to me, little woman it sounds condescending. Like, come here, little woman. Like, I don't know. Maybe little man is condescending too. But I'd also probably call her my queen. Would I like to have an ENTJ daughter? I think that would be really cool. So one of my best friends, so my mentor, one of my main mentors is an ENTJ, and so is his daughter, so she's kind of like my de facto sister. She and I get along really well. So I think if I had a daughter who had her personality type, I think that would be really, really cool. Yeah, here's the funny thing about ENTJs, guys. I think one of the ideas might be that, and I got to shut up after this because I got to go get the baby. But I think one of the ideas is that we would clash a lot. Every ENTJ I have in my life, like, we may debate and get heated, but I'm close with all the ENTJs in my life. Because being around feelers puts more strain on me than anything else. And that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying that because feeling is the weakest one of my cognitive functions, people who are a lot more, their decision making relies a lot more on feeling. A lot of times it doesn't compute to me. So, like, I have to work to be able to not step on the toes of feelers. So it puts me in a state of, I'm constantly, depending on who I'm around. Obviously with my wife I don't have that issue, but with people in my life who are very strong feelers, sometimes I have to be careful the way I say things. When I'm around my ENTJ friends, I say it exactly how I mean it, and it's never misconstrued, and it's cool. But like a feeler, sometimes I have to be careful because the way I'm saying it, it's not what I intend, and the way it's coming out of my mouth are not the same. So I said on Facebook, this is why you should be following me on Facebook. The other day I said, as much as I hate it, it's my audience that gets to choose what my words mean, not me. So even though I may have intended this to be encouraging and uplifting, I've made videos where people are like, you're so negative and blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm not being negative. I am being honest with you. Like, I made a video where I said, if you suck at making videos, if you suck on camera, like, if you just naturally suck at it, it's not a strength. It's not something that you're kind of okay at, that you could get really awesome at. I was just like, dude, then just don't be on camera. Go write. Like, if you're an amazing writer and you suck on camera, why are you fighting against your nature? Was the point. And he took it as me saying and I imagine he's insecure about himself on camera. And he took it to me, and I was saying he sucked. I'm like, but if you do suck, it's not me being negative, it's me helping you not waste time. But because of the way I said it, it's negative. So anyway, I love you guys and ladies. Hopefully I will see you all. Remember, the whole purpose of this video was to remind you that at 9 o'clock tonight, we're going to be having the Good Life Playbook presents the marriage experience, how to prepare yourself for long-term relationships and a happy marriage. I will see all of you then. Be sure to get on the Facebook page. Be sure to get on the Instagram. And be sure, as Jolly put the link here in the video, if you want access to our Good Life Playbook marriage experience for the 57% discount, and you do not plan on being on the call tonight, get the link from Jolly here in the comments. I love you all. We're stronger than I. See you later tonight. Peace.